It started with a smell. Not the kind that warns you of something rotten, but one that makes your chest tighten without knowing why. Sandalwood and smoke. I came home late from a work meeting that had gone long because my team couldn't agree on a vendor for our new software upgrade. It was almost midnight when I stepped into our house, our quiet, too clean house. And there it was. That smell. Sandalwood and smoke. I followed it down the hallway like a bloodhound. Past our bedroom, her side of the bed untouched. Into the spare room, now apparently converted into a kind of prayer space. Candles burned low in a semicircle, forming a halo around an elaborate mandala drawn in chalk on the hardwood. In the center sat a clay bowl full of ash and rose petals. And just behind that, one of her dresses laid out neatly, as if draped over an invisible body. That was the first crack in the wall. My name is Owen Carter. I'm 36, a project manager for a logistics firm, and I've been married to Lena for 8 years. We met in college. She was sunshine wrapped in denim and wit. We tried for kids for a few years, but it just never happened. Doctors couldn't find a clear reason, just one of those things. So, we stopped trying and tried instead to live. I buried myself in work. Lena, she started searching. Yoga, spiritual retreats, female energy circles. I didn't mind. I figured we all need something to believe in, especially when life doesn't go as planned. But then came the nights she didn't come home. Night prayers, she said casually over coffee one morning. You're sleeping there? I asked. It's a deep commitment. We stay in silence until sunrise. She said it like I was supposed to be impressed. Instead, I felt like I was losing her inch by inch, prayer by prayer. Little thoughts would creep in late at night, when I rolled over and found cold sheets beside me. Asterisk, who leads these prayers? Why are they all overnight? Asterisk, what kind of silence needs candles and whispers? I didn't press her. I didn't want to be that guy. Controlling. Distrusting. But I started noticing things. The sudden hiding of her phone. New lingerie tucked away in drawers. A credit card charge for a hotel 5 miles from the temple. Still, I waited. Hoped it was innocent. Then, my old friend Marcus came to town. He was visiting from Seattle and crashing on my couch for a few days. We cracked open beers and caught up like no time had passed. Eventually, the conversation drifted to Lena. She seems intense, Marcus said. You okay? I shrugged. She found this spiritual group. Kind of like a sect. Says it gives her meaning. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Sect? They don't call it that, obviously. Of course not, he said. No cult ever calls itself a cult. He was half joking, but something in my gut twisted. So we made a plan. Marcus, ever the investigator, decided to check it out. Said he'd pose as someone curious about their beliefs. Get close. See if anything fell off. I didn't love the idea, but I needed answers. Lena spent more nights away than at home. I was married to a ghost who smelled like sandalwood and secrets. A week later, Marcus texted me. Asterisk, we need to talk. You're not going to like this. Asterisk. When he came over, he looked rattled. He had gone to 3 lectures. Nothing weird at first. Just vague talks about awakening your inner goddess, realigning your soul, connecting to the universal current of desire. A lot of pseudoscience mumbo-jumbo. But then, during the 4th session, the guest speaker was Lena. She was leading it, he said, showing me a video he took with his phone. There she was, my wife, standing barefoot in a white robe, talking about surrender, about feminine power being unlocked through sacred obedience. And then, the leader came out. A man named Caleb, with long hair and intense eyes. He put his hand on her lower back. They talked in whispers. Then he kissed her. I stared at the screen, every part of me wanting to scream. But I didn't. She saw me, Marcus said. I followed them out to the garden. She noticed me. I don't think she recognized me, but she ran. The next day, Lena called Marcus and asked to meet. She said Caleb was her husband. Marcus told me. Swore they were spiritually bonded. That you were just her past. My hands were shaking. I felt like the air in the room had thickened. She's planning something with him, Marcus said. They're talking about how to get you out of the picture. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the absurdity of it all was the only thing keeping me from collapsing. She wants the house, Marcus added. She's saying you're mentally unstable. That you're obsessed. She's trying to build a case. The house. The one I paid for. The one in her name. I should have run then. Should have filed for divorce, emptied the accounts, gone scorched earth. But I still loved her. Or maybe I just loved the version of her I thought was real. So we waited. Marcus kept going back, collecting proof. Photos. Audio recordings. Caleb talking about removing obstacles. Lena whispering about me being the last chain holding her back. Until one night, Caleb kissed another woman. It happened on stage, during a sermon about love as a fluid state. Lena stood frozen, her face contorted with confusion and betrayal. A few minutes later, she disappeared. The next morning, she was on my doorstep, crying, pregnant. She swore it was mine, said she made a mistake, that Caleb had manipulated her, that she was ashamed. I told her to leave. She screamed, cursed, said I was abandoning our child, that she'd destroy me. Then she collapsed, sobbing. But I didn't take her back. We split the property evenly. She fought tooth and nail, but my lawyer was better. She moved in with her parents. A week later, during a packed sermon, she stormed the stage and slapped Caleb in front of the congregation, screamed that he used her, that he was a liar. She lit a candle, threw it at the curtain, and ran. The temple burned halfway down before firefighters arrived. She's in therapy now, or so I've heard. And me? I met someone real. Someone who doesn't smell like smoke and manipulation. I didn't realize how much he had taken from me until the bills came due. It was 3 weeks after the candle incident, the one where she stormed the stage, slapped the cult leader across the face, lit a curtain on fire, and vanished before the flames caught. I thought that was the end. I blocked her number, her email, even told mutual friends I didn't want to hear her name. But I hadn't blocked the mail. One Tuesday morning, I opened a letter from our joint bank account. The account I forgot to close. And there it was, $8,213.41 in credit card charges. All of them posted after she came crying to my doorstep with that sob story about being pregnant and manipulated. Makeup, jewelry, lingerie, a plane ticket to Nevada. And then this. Temple Blessing, Eternal Bond, billed from the Veil of Rising Mothers, LLC. $800. For a bond. The woman had burned down half a temple and still found time to swipe my card like it was her private ATM. She was out of her mind, or worse, she knew exactly what she was doing. So I drove to her parents' house. She'd moved back in after the fire. Rumor was she was in recovery. I didn't buy it. Lena never recovered from anything. She just transformed into something new, more slippery, more dangerous. Her father opened the door. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in days. Hair unwashed, eyes bloodshot, wearing a robe that used to be white and now looked like spilled oatmeal. She's not well, he said. Flat. Like he'd repeated that phrase too many times already. Is she pregnant? I asked. He looked down. I don't know. Is it mine? He didn't answer. I need to speak to her. I won't yell. After a pause, he stepped aside. Don't be long. Inside, Lena sat on the couch wrapped in a faded blanket, staring at the TV like it held the secrets of the universe. The volume was low, but it was some reality show. Beautiful people screaming at each other over things that don't matter. She didn't look up. I know about the money, I said. The charges. The hotel. The fake company. Still, she didn't move. Just blinked. Slowly. I know about the Nevada trip. You didn't even try to hide it. Her hand reached for the remote and paused. Then slowly, she set it down. I lied, she said. Calm. Smooth. Like she was ordering coffee. No kidding. I lied to protect you. I almost laughed. Protect me from what, Lena? From the truth? From knowing my wife was sleeping with a cult leader and draining our accounts like it was a bank heist. You were never ready to understand. There it was, the voice. The same one she used when she educated people at brunch. That condescending, silky tone that made you feel like a child being gently scolded by someone pretending to be kind. You think you're so stable, Owen. You think because you go to work and wear a clean shirt that you have it all figured out. But you don't. I stared at her. She wasn't rambling. She wasn't hysterical. She was composed. Calculated. I gave people hope. I led them to something bigger. They needed me. You cheated, I said. You lied. You emptied our account. You used me. And now you're preaching. Finally, she looked up. And I saw it, clear as glass. That thing behind her eyes. Cold. Tactical. The part of her that never needed religion to be dangerous. She had always been like this. The sect just gave her a prettier excuse. I'm keeping the child, she said. If it is yours. If. My voice rose despite myself. You told me. She interrupted, voice razor sharp. I said what I needed to. And now I'm telling you this. If you want any kind of contact, visitation, shared custody, a name on a birth certificate, you'll back off. My heart thundered in my chest. What are you threatening me with? She leaned forward. I know things, Owen. About you. About your past. Try me. She smirked. Remember the permit you signed off on? The construction job in 2019? The one where the electrical wiring was installed before final inspection. I froze. That was a small hiccup at work, something I brushed over when a project was delayed. No one got hurt. No damage was done. But if someone wanted to spin it. You didn't report it, she said. I've got emails. Forwarded them to myself last year. You remember Bob Jenkins? The guy from the compliance team? Caleb's cousin. Of course he was. You so much as whisper about Caleb or the tipple again, and I'll drop it in the right inbox. She leaned back, adjusting her blanket like royalty. I'm not the villain you think I am. Yes, I said. You're worse. She didn't even flinch. I left the house with my fists clenched and my mind racing. There were two realities forming now, the one I used to live in, where I believed Lena had just gotten lost, and this one, where she was orchestrating a long con with spiritual robes and smiles. I started digging. Marcus and I met that night over wings and whiskey at our favorite bar. I gave him the lowdown. He just nodded, jaw clenched. She's playing you, he said. We need leverage. She is the leverage now, I muttered. I can't go after her without risking everything. My job. My name. Maybe even a kid that might not be mine. Marcus tapped his phone. Then it's time we find out how deep this thing really goes. Over the next 2 weeks, we tracked everything. Marcus used a burner account to join some of the Veil of Rising Mother's private forums. They weren't just selling blessings and bond ceremonies. They were peddling protection rituals, emotional purifications, and what they called unbinding rites designed to sever harmful masculine attachments. Translation: they were coaching women on how to dump their husbands, drain their bank accounts, and keep them legally at bay. We found 3 other women who'd done exactly what Lena had done: left, stole, lied, and fled. One of them, a woman named Sherry, agreed to meet us. She showed up at a diner, eyes darting, hands shaking. They get inside your head, she said. They tell you you're sacred, that your pain has power. But then Caleb starts choosing who gets to feel divine, if you know what I mean. We did. Sherry had given Caleb 20 grand. Left her husband of 12 years. Lost custody of her kids when he finally filed for full parental rights. I got nothing now, she said, wiping her eyes. Just a tattoo on my shoulder that says Phoenix Mother. Like it means anything. Marcus snapped a photo of it. I went home and stared at the wall for 2 hours. Then I got an email from Lena. Just a subject line. You're being watched. No message. No attachments. Just that. The next morning, Marcus called in a panic. His apartment had been broken into. Nothing stolen. Just his laptop smashed, and the photos from the temple deleted from his cloud. They were tightening the screws. Lena had gone from dangerous to full-on unstable. And I was starting to feel like I was one step away from disappearing legally, professionally, maybe even literally. The question wasn't whether she was dangerous. It was how far she was willing to go. And the answer was starting to look like all the way. Marcus's place was a wreck. Not in the chaotic, bachelor pad kind of way, but precise. Surgical. The lock on his door hadn't been forced. No broken windows. No signs of random theft. Whoever got in had a key or knew how to bypass security. His laptop? Fried. Hard drive removed. Wires clipped like a bomb squad had been through. Cloud backups? Wiped. They'd known his passwords. That meant Lena, or someone close to her, had been watching more closely than we thought. This is beyond creepy, Marcus muttered, sweeping up glass. She's got people. She's got a cult, I said. Of course she is people. We filed a police report. A detective named Weller took our statement. Said it was probably an isolated break-in. Could be teenagers, he offered with a shrug. Teenagers don't scrub a man's entire digital history and leave everything else untouched. When we mentioned the Veil of Rising Mothers, he raised an eyebrow. Oh, that group, he said. They're known around here. Real, spiritual types. You've had reports? I asked. He hesitated, then nodded. Nothing criminal. Mostly family complaints. Disputes. They're smart. Keep their tracks clean. I knew that look. He was humoring us. Dismissing us like every person Lena had ever manipulated. After he left, I turned to Marcus. If the cops won't help us, we find our own way in. He nodded. I've got a contact. Digital forensics. He's off books. Discreet. That's how we met Josh. Josh was 30, brilliant, and jittery in a way that made you trust he had nothing to hide, because he couldn't stop talking. You want to trace deleted files, he said. I can try. Depends how clean they were with the wipe. If they zeroed the drive, that's trouble. But people never do it right. Especially cult people. They're paranoid but lazy. We gave him Marcus's fried hard drive and waited. In the meantime, I started digging into Lena's past. Not the spiritual nonsense she posted on Facebook, but the stuff that never made it online. I pulled our old mortgage records, looking for anything weird. And that's when I found it, a second P.O. box. Opened 6 months before she found the temple. I'd never seen it. Never even knew she had one. Rental records tied to that P.O. box showed multiple purchases. Mostly books, occult history, pagan rituals, female power societies, but also cash wire receipts. Lots of them. All sent to an account under a different name, Marina Vale. I stared at that alias for a long time. Who the hell was Marina Vale? Marcus tracked it. Marina Vale was a registered LLC, a spiritual coaching business that predated the Vale of Rising Mothers by 2 years. Guess who founded it? Lena. Under a false identity. She'd started her own sect before joining Caleb's. Then shut it down, rebranded, and walked into his world like she was just another soul in need of guidance. She wasn't a lost disciple. She was a rival in disguise. This wasn't about enlightenment, Marcus said. It was a power play from day one. Josh called us that night. You need to come over, he said. Now, we arrived to find him in a dark room, for monitors glowing. On the main screen, a recovered video. The date stamp was 6 months ago. The location? Unlisted. The footage opened with Lena, not in robes. In jeans and a tank top. Hair up. Sitting at a table, talking into a webcam. Entry log number 14, she said, voice flat. Caleb doesn't suspect anything yet. The others are responding well. I think I can take over within 6 months if I keep building trust. Marcus and I exchanged a look. The video continued. She started listing names. Women she'd isolated. Men she'd slept with. People she'd blackmailed. She's recording her strategy, I said. She's building her own case, Josh added. In case something goes wrong. I leaned forward. Can you find more? I'm working on it. There are 36 partial entries so far. A few were encrypted. I'm trying to decrypt the rest. One of the decrypted entries hit like a hammer. It was dated 3 weeks before she came back to me crying, claiming she was pregnant. In that one, Lena said, if Caleb finds out about Owen, it could ruin everything. I told him Owen was sterile, that I never loved him. But if he learns we were still sleeping together, he might snap. He's obsessed with being the only one. She lied to him about you? Marcus asked. She lied to everyone. That's when we realized the child, if there was a child, might not just be a power play. It might be a ticking time bomb. Caleb thinks she belongs to him, I said slowly. He's not going to take this well. A few days later, our theory exploded. Literally. The Vale's secondary location, a rented barn converted into a sacred ceremony lodge, burned down in the middle of the night. No injuries, but total loss. Arson suspected. Lena posted a cryptic message the next day. Some flames are meant to purify. Others are a warning. The goddess always rises from the ash. We didn't know if she lit the fire or if Caleb did. What we did know, something between them had shattered. A week later, I received a manila envelope at my office. No return address. Inside, a sonogram photo and a sticky note. If anything happens to me, you'll raise our child. He doesn't deserve to win. L. Under the photo, scrawled in pen. Vault number 317, Guardian Bank. Ask for the red key. That was the moment I realized Lena wasn't just dangerous to me. She was dangerous to herself. I went to Guardian Bank 2 days later. Vault 317 was under Lena's name, but I was listed as a secondary authorized user. Something she set up years ago, probably for emergencies. I showed ID. Signed paperwork. The clerk led me to the safe deposit room and left me alone. Inside Vault 317 were 3 things. A flash drive labeled contingency. A burner phone with 1 number saved, Jade. A sealed envelope labeled, use this only if Caleb disappears. I opened the flash drive first. It contained Lena's full blackmail archive. Names, photos, affairs, financial documents, audio recordings. She'd been collecting dirt on everyone. Not just me. Not just Caleb. The sect. The followers. Even the donors. She had built a vault of leverage. And now it was mine. Marcus and I spent the next week reviewing everything. We cataloged, indexed, and backed up the files to 2 encrypted drives, 1 each. I shook my head. No. She was preparing for escape. This was her parachute. And now that she'd lost control, she was handing it to me like some twisted insurance policy. We had leverage now. But so did Caleb. And that's when Jade called. The woman on the line sounded sharp. Clipped. Ex-military, maybe. She didn't introduce herself. Just said, he's looking for her. He thinks you're hiding her. Who is this? Someone who wants Caleb gone. The line went dead. I looked at Marcus. It's happening. What is? The implosion. Because Lena wasn't just at war with Caleb anymore. She'd made herself the most dangerous kind of enemy, one with nothing left to lose. After I opened Vault 317, that silence moved in with me. It followed me from room to room like a shadow. The red key, the burner phone, the flash drive, these weren't just items Lena left behind. They were warnings. And the more we dug into the files, the more unstable the entire situation became. It wasn't just blackmail. The deeper Marcus and I read into Lena's archived files, the more we began to see patterns. There were dozens of women like her, some still in the veil of rising mothers, others who had vanished entirely. And then there was a folder on the drive titled, Unfit. Inside were records of people Caleb had removed. Not legally, not quietly, just removed. We weren't dealing with a spiritual leader. We were dealing with a cult dictator who had the charisma of a preacher and the conscience of a mob boss. Lena had infiltrated his ranks, challenged his control, and tried to outmaneuver him. And I had been married to that woman. There was a name that popped up several times, Nadine Porter. She was Caleb's previous second-in-command before Lena joined. The files hinted that Nadine had disappeared shortly after a power imbalance developed between her and Caleb. The file on her ended abruptly with a chilling entry in Lena's journal. If Nadine's gone, it's proof. He'll kill me too. Or make someone else do it. The burner phone buzzed again. Same number. Jade. I answered, this time ready. Where is she? Jade asked. No hello. No formality. Her voice was like a blade, cold and clean. She's with her parents last I checked. What do you want with her? She has something that belongs to me. And Caleb knows it. What does he want? There was a pause. You. My chest tightened. He thinks she gave you the file. He's right, isn't he? I stayed silent. That was stupid. Caleb doesn't care about legality. You're not a witness to him. You're an inconvenience. What's in this file, Jade? Enough to shut him down. Names. Transactions. Judges. Cops. Followers who were paid to disappear. I gave her that file in confidence. You trusted her? I used to. Another pause. But she wanted power. She was supposed to burn the file if things went bad. Instead, she handed it off like a child hiding a toy. I clenched the phone. So what now? Jade sighed. No? You give it to me before someone else finds you. I'll make sure Caleb never sees another sunrise. You're planning to kill him. That's not your concern. It is if he comes for me first. The very next morning, I woke up to a broken window. Nothing was missing. No signs of forced entry. Just a shattered pane in my home office and a single object on my desk, a smooth black stone with the symbol of the veil etched into it. Beneath it, a note. The flame never forgets. Caleb was escalating. So I drove straight to Lena's parents' house. I wasn't even sure what I expected, an explanation? A truce? What I found was worse. She was gone. Her mother answered the door, pale and shaking. She left 2 nights ago. No note. No call. Just gone. She say anything strange before she left? Her mother hesitated. She kept whispering about closing the circle. And something about you being the final offering. Final offering? I felt like I'd been thrown into a fever dream. Marcus and I set up shop in my basement. We went full bunker mode, cameras, backups, encrypted drives, even a second prepaid phone line. Every night I kept a bat near the door and checked every room before bed. Josh, the digital guy, sent over more decrypted logs from Lena's vault. The entries became increasingly erratic. Voice notes instead of journal entries. And in one of them, she was crying. Caleb wants me to choose. He says if I love him, I'll do it. He says Owen's just a ghost, something I imagined when I was still weak. But I can't kill him. I can't. Not unless I know he really doesn't love me anymore. She paused, then her tone changed. I just want it over. I don't care who dies first, as long as someone does. I felt the floor drop beneath me. Lena wasn't scared. She was spiraling, torn between revenge and obsession. She didn't want to run. She wanted to end it permanently. Later that night, Marcus and I were going through financial records Lena kept when we found a folder labeled Ashes. Inside, a list of women who had been declared missing. Sherry was there. So was Nadine. Alongside them was a name I didn't expect to see. Jade. Jade, our anonymous caller. She'd faked her own death 2 years ago. According to Lena's notes, Jade had once been Caleb's cleaner. The one who made problems disappear. So why was she helping me? I think she's trying to burn the house down, Marcus said. Not just Caleb. The whole system. You're her matchstick. I sat back. She wants to use me to draw Caleb out. He nodded. Probably. But if it gets us answers. Then I'm bait. I agreed to meet Jade. She sent me coordinates to an old barn out near the ridge, one that hadn't burned down. I left Marcus with a copy of the vault files, just in case. We had a code. If I didn't check in every 30 minutes, he'd contact Detective Weller with everything. Jade was already there when I arrived. She wore black jeans, a tactical jacket, and a sidearm at her hip. She looked like someone who didn't ask permission, only forgiveness, if that. You brought it? She asked. I held up the drive. You gonna tell me what's really going on? She nodded. But you won't like it. We sat inside the barn, surrounded by dust and silence. She explained everything. Caleb wasn't just manipulating women. He was laundering money through fake spiritual retreats, trafficking influence through political contacts, and building a database of followers with weak mental health histories, so he could claim they were unstable if they ever tried to expose him. And Lena? She had joined to learn how to do the same. She wanted to model her own empire, Jade said. But Caleb caught on. That's why Nadine disappeared. That's why I left. I gave her the file because I thought she'd burn it. But she kept it. And now? She trailed off. She's off the leash, I said. She wants to take Caleb out, and if she can't, she'll make sure you die with her. I stared at the rafters. She said I was the final offering. Jade turned. Then you'd better hope Caleb finds you first. I returned home just after midnight. Nothing felt real anymore. I was sleeping 4 hours a night and jumping at the sound of mail hitting the floor. I didn't know whether to turn the files in or burn them. That's when Marcus called. She's here, he whispered. She came to my apartment. She was different. Different how? She was calm. Too calm. She gave me this envelope and said, if Owen loves me, he'll come find me. Then she left. Inside the envelope was a photo. It was me sleeping in my bed, taken from the corner of my room. I nearly vomited. She'd been in my house. It wasn't a dramatic betrayal. No storm. No screaming in the street. Just a manila envelope in my mailbox on a Thursday morning. Inside, a photo of me sleeping. The same angle. The same lighting. Only now, she'd left a note taped to the back. If you won't give me your heart, Owen, I'll settle for your silence. Meet me at cabin 12. Alone. That's how it always was with Lena, threats dressed as invitations. I should have stayed away. I should have burned it, blocked her, buried the memory. But some part of me still needed to see her. Not for closure. Not even for answers. I just needed to see how far gone she really was. Cabin 12 was an old rental up by Echo Lake. We'd been there once, back when we still tried. Before the cult. Before the lies. She'd laughed there once, genuinely. Wrapped herself in a blanket and told me she could see us growing old together. Now it was just a shell. Like everything else she touched. I left my phone behind and drove up around dusk. The air had that stillness that makes you feel watched, even when you're alone. The cabin's door was unlocked. The lock had been ripped out, replaced with nothing but an open invitation. She was inside. Lena sat by the window. No candles this time. No ropes. No nonsense. Just her. Hair tied back. No makeup. Wearing jeans and a plain sweatshirt. She looked normal. But she wasn't. You came, she said, quietly. You asked? She stood slowly. I thought maybe you'd send someone else. Like Marcus. Or that woman. Jade. I don't work for anyone. She tilted her head. Still pretending to be noble? No, I said. Just here to finish this. There was a long pause. I'm not pregnant, she said finally. I figured. I thought it might keep you in the game longer. Make you hesitate. I did not answer. I lied because that's what I do when I feel cornered, she said. And because it always worked on you. It doesn't anymore. Another pause. She looked away, almost embarrassed. Almost. Caleb's dead, she said. I stiffened. You. No. Jade. She waited until he was alone, took what she needed from his place, then left him there. I didn't feel sad, or even surprised. He made people disappear, I said. So I did. We both went quiet. There wasn't much left to say. She walked over to the table and picked up a flash drive. She held it out to me. It's everything I have left. All the dirt, the lies, the receipts, the leverage, every secret from that place, and every one I used against you. I didn't take it. Why are you giving me this? Because you were right, she said. You didn't destroy us. I did. And maybe this makes it even. Or maybe it just ends things. She placed it gently on the table. You can turn it in, publish it, erase it. I don't care. Where will you go? I asked. I'm not, she said. You're staying here? She gave a small, tired smile. I lit too many matches, Owen. Now it's time I finally sit in the dark. I looked at her for a long time. The woman who once promised me forever. Who stole my money. Who faked a pregnancy. who watched me sleep just to remind herself that she could. I didn't see anyone broken. I saw someone who chose this. Not out of pain, but out of power. You always had a choice, I said quietly. You just never picked me. She looked away. I picked what I thought would fill the emptiness. How's that working out? I'm still empty. I left without another word. 3 weeks later, I turned in the drive anonymously. The cult was shut down within days. A handful of arrests. Tax fraud. Coercion. Missing persons. Lena's name was never mentioned. She vanished.